Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we always love talking about the power of taking care of your health. And that's why we're honored to have with us Sonja Redding, owner and practitioner with Imagine Laserworks Memphis. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Power of the good. That's what I do, is I use power to make people healthy. So thank you for that intro.
Yeah. Hey, well, when you talk about technology and powering the good and health and stress reduction, there's a lot to unpack that's all good. So,
are people stressed these days?
Yeah, stress and anxiety high. So that's perfect for this conversation.
Exactly.
Let's start though with a little bit of your background, because we've known you for a long time. And when you talk about becoming an entrepreneur and launching this business and really, kind of an innovation, when you look at not anything like this in Memphis. So I think very cool. Talk about your backstory and what led you to launch Imagine Laserworks Memphis.
It's an interesting story to tell, and I can tell it hopefully without some emotion. But the type of therapy that I do is auricular therapy, and it's based off of the auricle, or the face of the ear, and based off of acupuncture. We know thousands of years old, and but Jeremy, it was my own health that led me to this. So my previous career in, commercial design, for 25 years, things just started to evolve. And right around COVID, my health started going down, and 1 prescription, 2 prescription, 3 prescription, 4 prescription, 5 prescription. And honestly, this is the emotional part, that I had a meltdown at Walgreens, and I thought, you know what, I'm in the system. This is it. This is my life. And I walked out of the Walgreens, and actually my girlfriend does this in Canada. So I had sort of she talked me off the ledge and just said, you know what, you have an amount, huge amount of time on your hands during COVID. Look into this. You can do the research. You can do the things online. You can. So that's really what I did for a couple years. And the training that I did it really is all based out of Canada. So Imagine Laserworks is a Canadian franchise, and they have 72 locations in Canada. And then here I'm the lone wolf bringing it down to Memphis. But once I started looking into it, and just, I think as we age, I'm just going to say it. Some of our health evolves, and these are not things that just happened overnight. These are things that have evolved like for over 20, 30 years, to that one particular moment that something happens and it triggers it. So I really started down a rabbit hole of looking for different holistic approaches to feel better. And, sure, with all those prescriptions, it looked good on paper, but why do I still feel like crap? Why is my body rejecting things? And and I'm not saying that I'm against all pharma or doctors or anything like that, but there's a place and a time. But if there are things that I can do to help myself through this is where I am today. So once the borders opened up, I went up to Vancouver, and I still continue to do training to this day, every single day. So here's my little prop on the side. And there are literally hundreds of points on your ears, that are it's just sort of little nerve connections. So your ears are kind of the remote control to the brain. So if there are things that are kind of tapped into, your limbic system and the autonomic nervous system, so triggering those points to help people with anxiety and stress and I have some pretty good testimonials, and believe me, everybody is different. For some people, it might take a couple sessions. Some people, it might take a little bit more. But one particular lady is coming up on March 31st. She reminded me just the other day. She says, March 31st, it's been a year since I haven't had any sleep aids. She hadn't slept in 15 years. So I helped her with some sessions with that. But, she had sleep medication. She had gummies. She had the gamut of not being able to sleep. So we did a session, and then a couple days later, I was having her in for another one, and she slept in, and I said, I am so okay with that. If you slept through an appointment because we're dealing with insomnia, that is all the the reward I need to know that it's working. So, yeah, it's just a different approach to it. It's very relaxing. By the way, I don't use any needles. I am terrified of needles. So what I do is just with a microcurrent or a little bit of stimulation, and then the device I have actually, it kind of matches the natural current of the body. So it really is kind of triggering, things in your body to start healing itself.
Where do you like to start in terms of someone's, comes to you, and I mean, is it, sleep, wellness, health, stress, anxiety? Because obviously that will kind of allow you to talk about the different uses, but the questions you like to ask on the front end to get an idea, and then like, what is a duration of a session, like you mentioned? So kind of walk us through the magic of how it all works.
And the number one thing that I have been doing over the last 2 years has been quitting smoking. So within the first session is I can help somebody quit smoking in an hour, and you have things like, the patch, the gum, the Chantix, the Zyban, and so forth. I mean, that's sitting at about like a 7 to 17% success rate. And me, I can hover around like 85 to 90% success rate. But believe me, there's some work on the person, so that we would have one particular session, which would with questions and everything is probably about an hour and a half. And then for 8 weeks from that first session, they can come back in for what we call a boost for free. So we really want to make sure that, in that particular case, nicotine hijacks the endorphin receptor sites on your brain, so you have a cigarette and you feel good and you kind of keep going. So in that moment, you basically surrender. I don't know if you can see like my huge, there's a tower of cigarettes I have here. So people surrender their cigarettes to me. And then what I do in that moment is trigger the endorphins to start producing itself. So the nicotine kind of goes here, and within that 6 to 8 weeks, your endorphins, as you start to feel better. So that's how it works sort of on the smoking side of things. And with anxiety, insomnia, or we call it anxiety, insomnia, depression, it's sort of within there. We usually start with 3 sessions. And for some people, one particular gentleman over a year ago, it was a form of PTSD. He wasn't in the military, but there was a traumatic event that had happened that prevented him from kind of moving his life forward. He couldn't eat dinner with his family. He couldn't take his daughter to the park. He couldn't get a haircut. So after the first session, if he said that, I did some woo-woo stuff. I said, okay, I'll go with it. But then he came back for the next session and he wasn't wearing a hat. His hair was cut and clean. And he just shook his head at me. And I said, well, just go with it. So him being able to take his daughter to the park, are you kidding me? Like, you can't, so if these are things that, if stress is kind of taking over, how do you dial that down to actually start taking steps forward? So, and once again, each person is different. Weight management is sort of another one where it complements, like if you're working out and eating well, having a couple sessions like this, it will help with it kind of your metabolism. It'll help you kind of, okay, I'm full. I'm going to step away from the table. Even though we've been conditioned our whole life, you better clean that plate, whatever. You have to eat everything. You took it, you take it, but you know what? Your body, just sort of, it's just going to kickstart that process of your metabolism and just sort of help you, maybe push you over the edge if you've hit kind of a plateau. Oh goodness, there's so many different ways that I can, sleep, insomnia, weight, stress. Let's talk about the stress and anxiety of today, and just, it can help with that.
Well, and I love the fact, like you're saying, you laid out, which is awesome. Like, here's all the different ways, and then here's kind of what it looks like, kind of mapping it out, right? In terms of setting an expectation and the time and the duration, which is awesome. I'm like you, where I'm not a fan of needles. So what does it feel like when you talk about using the laser? Like, what does it feel like? You mentioned kind of the gentle pulses, but what does it feel like?
It can feel anywhere from like a flutter, a buzzing bee, to like a little bit of a pinch, depending on the frequency. And just with the ear behind me, with all the points that I touch, the different areas, each of the colors is a different frequency. So when I touch this point, it's different than the inner part of the ear and then the lobe. And if you've ever thought, okay, you can look at your ear and think of it like an upside down fetus. Your lobe is your head in your brain. And then the inner part here, I mean, this is your spine along the ridge here. Inner part is your inner organ. So when we deal with a certain protocol, I mean, your liver and your kidney may not mean that much to you, but when you start triggering those things in the healing in your body, it all matters. So there might be 10 or 12 points on the ear, and then we'll do a couple points on the hands, maybe the shins or the feet, just to sort of help with the whole sort of body balance or chi or homeostasis, whatever you want to call it. So just taking the whole body into account just to feel better. So, I mean, there's zero side effects. Happy accidents is, one lady, I did a wellness boost on her, and you should call me back. And I'm like, oh dear, what's going on? And she says, you know what? I used to have shin splints. She said, my shin splints are gone. I'll take it, because there's a couple points on the shins and the feet. It's a beautiful thing to sort of get the feedback, and some people might take a couple more sessions, but if you start feeling better and start moving, and I mean, it all is connected just to feel better day by day. So
I mean, even on my end, like I'm learning so much. Like I never knew that much about my ears. That much power. So that's awesome.
I mean, I would recommend, if anybody wants to know more about it. I mean, consultations are always free. You can come by, and Jeremy, please do. If you're in the area, sort of Ridgeway and Poplar over here, please do stop by, because it is. What does it do? What does it feel like? What is it? You really kind of have to experience it a little bit just to kind of know what's going on. But it's not another pill. It's not another drug. It's not, because even that in itself is, I've been down that road, and I know I don't want to feel that way again. So.
Yeah. And carry that into, how has this transformed your perspective, not only on your own health, but your ability to be a catalyst for change and transform the lives of others? So how has this transformed your view of yourself as an entrepreneur, but really you as a change maker to help others?
It's, whether we look to the analogy of an onion, is like, people want to meet people of same like minds. So I have, over the last year and a half, has met so many different people in different type of health modalities, of whether it's dealing with, a type of session called, frequency specific microcurrent. So again, we are all electric, we are all frequency. So how do we use that to, heal the body? And we went through a session of that, and just meeting different nutritionists and holistic people, and, even some ladies dealing with infertility, just making connections in all of that realm to make recommendations. And it's like this little community you have. It's like, oh, have you tried this? Or have you tried this? Or it's a beautiful thing. And it's sure, my previous career, I had a different mindset, but now I can talk about this with every fiber of my being, with great conviction of where I was. I mean, I'm 56, I'll say it, but I feel balanced. I feel great. I feel, and I'm not saying that every day is perfect, but I can't see my ears, so I can't do protocols. I need to find somebody that does this, but I have a different protocol that deals with mental acuity and brain fog, and it's it starts with the points on the top of the skull, the base of the skull, and then some body points, and that has helped me with stress and anxiety, or even when the temperature changes. It's not really a migraine, but maybe a very shift in the weather. So a vice is starting to get my head, but I'll do that protocol, and it almost just, it relaxes and kind of, it subsides to kind of help me deal with it. So that's the one protocol I can do with myself. So your head is, you got certain points all over the place, but it's, I could talk about it, but I really hope that you would come by and just sort of experience this and just sort of see what we do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm learning a ton, so this is awesome. Where you mentioned kind of the location, but go ahead and talk about location, website. Where do we go for those who say, "Wow, this sounds amazing. I want to learn more." Where do we go?
Yeah, I mean the space itself. I mean, you can see, here I wanted something that was really quite central because I have people coming in from Mississippi. I've had people from Louisville, Kentucky, Texas, Louisiana, even Utah. So I wanted to make it easy to find. So it's just right off of the Ridgeway Loop in the Ridgeway Business Center, Central Ridgeway and Poplar. The website is Imagine Laserworks Memphis. I've started putting up testimonials with people on their phone number, 901-264-9711. But I really, there's curiosity. And so if anything that I've said resonates with anybody, who would listen to this, please do give me a call and have a conversation about it. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited. And a lot of times I just wave my head around and then I carry, little ears and stuff around. It's just, here, this is what I do. I mean, through time, I've always met, people that have been afraid of flying. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't like flying myself, but they'll sit there and they'll start rubbing their earlobes. And that 100% makes sense, because that's where your brain is, and even the vanity of piercing ears, where mine are pierced now, was that for vanity, or does that point actually mean something? And it actually means something. So, just go down a rabbit hole again.
Yeah, no, like I said, cool stuff. And, definitely like I'm excited to learn more as well. So it's been fun to, see the growth, the evolution, knowing you in one phase and seeing you in this phase, and to watch, just the maturity as an entrepreneur, as a change maker, as you said, taking control of your own health and life. It's just awesome to see. And so Sonja Redding, owner, practitioner with Imagine Laserworks Memphis, thank you for all you do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.